So you know how my last video was about all the times I chased rabbits as a kid? Well, I think the god of rabbits probably saw my shenanigans and went,
"This child has smited my kind for too long. As punishment, I will ensure that your future is full of embarrassment and anguish at the mercy of all rabbit kind."
And here's how he did it. Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong, will go wrong. Classic theater law. The show must go on. Come rain, come shine, come snow, come sleet. The show must go on. Ta-da! Today I'm going to tell you all about an event that happened during one of the darkest times in most people's lives. 7th grade. That was the year my middle school was putting on their annual production, and since we didn't have a lot of money, we switched off between doing a musical and doing a play every other year, and my 7th grade year was the year we did a play. And what was the play, you might ask? The Tortoise and the Hare. Yee. You know the phrase, be careful what you wish for? Well, I'd say I'd learned that lesson the hard way during this little theater production. Prior to it, I had never had a lead role in a play, so once I heard that I was gonna play the hare, who, yes, in this play was the main character because the tortoise was off stage most of the time and didn't have nearly as many lines, I was ecstatic. And the reason I recall this so well is because I wrote about it on my old DeviantArt back in the day.
I am even more awesome! Ha ha ha! Yes! I got the lead role, which I've never done before! Amazing! The first practice is tomorrow. I'm so nervous! Check out my gallery for new stuff, since I'm so amazingly amazed at my life. Enjoy, and thank you for caring about my life.
Pro tip to you all, never be a 13-year-old. Just skip that part of your life altogether. Once this play went into production, I was a bit overwhelmed with all the lines I had to memorize. Like, I'm pretty sure I had over 200 compared to the other kids who had maybe 2 to 30 each. Anyway, I managed to learn my lines, rehearse my scenes, get my makeshift costume, cause what's a theater budget, am I right? And did my best to perform and entertain. Now, I'm not gonna go through the whole plot of the show, since most of you know the fable and therefore know how it ends. The only major difference in the version I was in was that it was incredibly British. All the characters were anthropomorphic animals with fancy names. My name was Mr. Fleet. And in typical British fashion, there was way more dialogue than action. Just for the sake of time, I'm gonna recount to you all the parts I best remember, because they were so bad. These are less highlights and more why-lights, if you will. As in, why? The director. So this play had 2 women who taught at the school running the production. They were Mrs. H and Mrs. N, and to help you remember who is whom, just think H stands for heck yes, let's get out there and have fun and put on a play, and N stands for nah. So at the beginning of rehearsals, which lasted 3 months, mind you, both of these women worked in equal amounts on the play, choosing the cast, setting up the budget, teaching lines, etc. Until about 2 weeks in, Miss H slipped and fell on an ice patch, broke her leg, and was wheelchair-bound for the rest of the production. This meant Miss N more or less had the captain's chair all to herself. Now, look, I'm not saying Miss N was a bad person. All I'm saying is that there are definitely people in this world that shouldn't direct a middle school play. The script. So, this British play from the 1960s, obviously, had banter in it that went over the heads of some of the 10 to 14-year-olds in the play. And since it was so wordy to begin with, kids got lost on when to say their lines all the time. But I didn't have that issue myself. No, my issue was with some of the words in the script. Like at one point, I called another character a bundle of sticks, except I wasn't saying bundle of sticks, I was saying another word. A word that starts with an F and is today considered an awful insult. And I had to yell that in front of a crowd 5 times.
Well, why didn't you just change the one line if you were so uncomfortable with it?
Because of Mrs. N. She wouldn't let anyone say lines that didn't 100% follow the script. She told us that it was illegal to change the script to cater to your own needs, and that someone from the production company who owned the play could be out in the audience watching and report us if we changed our lines. Newsflash, that's not true in the slightest. And even if it were, I doubt a British theater company would have set out a copyright spy to small-town America to see a middle school production of a play that was over 50 years old. The length of the play. This play was so long. Like, you'd think for a play about a race, it would go pretty fast, but no. The race doesn't start until a third of the way through the play, and most of the rest of it is Mr. Fleet dilly-dallying through wacky hijinks, since he knows the tortoise, named Mr. Slow, was so far behind. And the quote-unquote comedy in those scenes got so old so fast it was painful. This play lasted 3 years every night we performed it. It broke the rules of time just to make us suffer. But once it was all said and done, I guess I had an okay experience throughout it all, but Yeah, it was probably the second worst play I've ever been in. I'll never forget a comment I got after one of the performances from one of my friend's grandmas. She told me that I did a good job, the girl who played the tortoise did a good job, and that the rest of the play was terrible. And the worst thing about it was that she was kinda right.
I think those are the only 2 stories that I know about rabbits. About rabbits. I hope you enjoyed them, 'cause I'm probably never gonna talk about rabbits again.